I welcome you guys back to my next video, which is how to solve equations. I realize that you need to be a problem solver in life because a problem solver is an entrepreneur. You have to understand that those people who can solve problems can also use their emotions. I need you to realize that those people who understand what their emotions are the ones who understand EQ, and EQ has everything to do with peak performance. You understand that those people who have problem-solving abilities are the ones who can really write all day long and realize they can also read all day long and be around better people. You have to understand that to solve equations is to solve problems, and when you solve problems, you'll also be a more successful person who also realizes they must be better than yesterday, and you have to understand that the fountain of wisdom is to solve problems and to be the solutionist that you are. In a sense, so be that type of person who has solutions, because when you are a solutionist, you're still living. In a sense, because you did something today to live. In a sense, because otherwise you'd be dead. You need to be a person who has more equations in your life, which means you need more numbers, you need more wisdom, you need more knowledge, because that way you're going to understand how to solve problems. You have to understand that those people who are reading every single day and doing something positive every single day are the ones who are going to solve more problems and equations. You have to understand the equation, you have to understand that an equation means to solve an idea that is a problem, in a sense. So solve something today that's really going to help somebody else, and that way you will understand to do it for free, and the more you do it for free, I promise you, the more you grow yourself. You have to understand that is the whole point of life. You have to understand that people who are understanding to talk better are the ones who are also solving equations in order to do so. You have to understand when you're doing something greater when you're doing something for the greater good, you understand that those people also have to understand to live greater. You understand? So be a person who understands that you never be offended about what's going on. You be a person who's understanding that you understand that you just live much greater. I realize that you understand that you never call anybody a poof or anything like that. You understand? Because that way you're judging people. You never judge people for who they are. You understand? Because life is equal, and you must be equal with everybody, and that way you're going to be a person who's growing, because those people who understand that they have to be superior to themselves are the ones who are solving problems with themselves. You have to understand that those people understand that when you have an ego, you have to understand you have to overcome it, and to do that you have to solve equations, and you have to solve the puzzles and mysteries of your life to make sure that no matter what, you're a person who can problem solve every single day, and that way you can understand that no matter what, you have a better business when you have more problem solving skills. You have to understand that skills is everything about solving problems. So make sure that you read more books about how to solve your own problems, and that way once you solve your problems, then you can teach it like I am today. Understand? Because when you're a teacher, you'll also solve more problems like that. And that way you understand that you have to do some video work, and if you're not doing some video work today, you have to solve your problem. And you have to understand that you have to be a solutionist, and you have to look for the ideas, and then you give the ideas more and more about how to solve problems. And that way you understand you'll be more successful when you're helping people live a better life. You understand? Because that's how you solve problems. You understand? You be a person who understands that people need their problems solved. So then you go into their life and you say, I'll help you with this, and then you just go give them some ideas, and that's going to help them to free their life in a better way, to make sure that they live better, because life is about living better. And when you're living better, you'll also be more successful. In a sense, to be that type of person who understands that you need to be in yourself and never with the crowd, because you never follow the crowd, you follow something greater than the crowd. You understand? And then you be 1% of the crowd who is with the wolves and with the eagles. You understand? You never be with the sheep. You understand? You be something greater. You be something that's worth it. You be something that's really going to help you to move forward. You understand? You have to understand that you need some inspiration today, so make sure that you're solving your problems today in a way that you understand that no matter what happens, you're going to be that type of person who can. You have to understand you have to will yourself to intentionally grow and to find ideas in you. Right now, no matter what, you have so many ideas where you can understand to grow yourself in a way that you understand you're solving problems every single minute of every single day. You're always doing something incredible in your life where you understand you have to read, you have to write, and you have to comprehend faster and learn faster to make sure that you're a person who can solve much greater intent and abilities, and make sure no matter what that you have an ability to do so. You understand? Because those people who understand that you're solving much more, you understand? Because that way you're going to grow. You understand? So be that type of person who's always growing, you're doing something amazing, you're expanding your comfort zone, you're making sure that your emotions rule yourself and your life, because emotions is everything. And those people who have emotions are the ones who can solve problems. You have to understand, you expand your comfort zone, you push into your comfort zone, and you make sure you're growing. You understand? You make sure you're growing, because that's how you solve problems. You solve problems in front of people, you solve problems behind the scenes. You have to understand that behind the scenes you must be writing more, you must be talking better, you must be doing something better. because that way you understand that you are a person of problem-solving abilities, and you have to understand that way you're going to grow, you're going to expand your mindset, you're going to use every single word in the dictionary, because that way you'll be a smarter person, and a smart ass will solve your problems, you understand? So be around smart people, you understand? So be a person who really understands that when you're a person who's capable of more, you'll do something greater, you understand? Because those people can lead you. I promise you, those people can solve your problems. So go around them and be the student. And that way then you'll apply the information, and then you'll go and solve other people's problems. I use my journal. I have a journal in life. I make sure that I write in it as much as I can so that I can solve my own problems, so then I can go into a video such as this and solve more problems to make sure that I can go and grow my success, because it's about my success today, understand? Because guess what? Once I succeed and I do it much more, I can then help you. I realize that if I help you and I have no success, I realize you'll walk away from me. Understand? So make sure no matter what, you have that nice, beautiful potential where you can understand you're a person who's going inside for all the answers, and that way you'll take more responsibility and accountability. Understand? Because life is leadership, and those people who understand leadership are the ones who can understand to solve more problems and to intentionally grow, as John C. Maxwell said. You have to understand that self-awareness is everything when it comes to solving problems. You have to be able to write it down. You have to be able to also boost your you have to be able to boost your reality in a way that you have a reality check, and you understand that a reality check, a reality check means to self-evaluate and to be self-aware of what you're doing. So be that type of person who can do that. You're always growing in a manner. You're always growing in a manner where you're using your mindset and your life and your emotions and everything about you to make sure that you can get your information across, because that way you're going to grow everything about you. You're going to grow your leadership. You're going to grow your problems, and you're going to make sure that your problems are solved. Understand? Because that way you will solve your equations. Understand? So me, I realize that you be that person who can understand that whatever you're doing today, you must do it better. You must be able to go and increase your skills, because to have skills is to have more knowledge, and the more knowledge you have is the better you are. So be that type of person who can increase your skills every single day by reading more. You have to read more and more. I read 35 hours a day, guys. So I read 35 hours a day. Understand? So make sure that you go and do the same in terms of 3.5 times speed. You read it in 10 hours. Understand? So be a person who's always reading something. I mean, you have no excuses. You have to be reading something. You understand? So be a person who can achieve much greater life. I started at 1 hour every single day reading, and then I developed the ability to read 10 hours a day. You understand? So be that type of person who has a mindset for it, and to make sure that you're always a person who can solve your own abilities, because it's really about living in the heart, and it's also about living in emotions. You understand? Because the heart is emotions, and the ones who are living in the heart are the ones who are able to help you. You understand? Because those people who are too ego-minded are the ones who are negative. You have to stay away from negative people. You have to understand that life is really about yourself getting greater, and you have to understand it's about greatness. You have to understand it's really about something that's greater than you. And what is that? I realize it's growth. You understand? You need to grow. You need to grow daily. You need to go and do something that's really going to be foundational. You have to understand that I have to self-reflect and make sure that my posture is a nice way where I can talk, so that I can understand that it's really about growth. You understand? So when I grow, I'm really encouraging myself each and every moment to make sure that I lift and to push my heart, and to make sure that this video is a nice, beautiful one. We understand that growth is a capability, and the more capabilities you have is the more problem-solving abilities that you can do. You're going to do something today that's going to help solve a problem. And to solve a problem is to make common sense. So you make more common sense today, I promise you, you'll be a common sense worker. And then you understand that your life is going to get greater as you make more common sense. You make more common sense today, I promise you, you'll be more successful. I promise you, you'll do something far greater, and you'll be a better person for it. You understand? Because those people who are better are also going to lead better and are going to do better. You have to understand that when you're doing something, I promise you, when you're doing something incredible, you're going to be a person who's looking inside, you're going to push your heart into it, and you're going to give your videos and your audios and your writing and every single day the best that you can. Because that's what life is about. Life is about doing better and greater than you are today. I need you to do greater and better than who you are. I need you to understand when people never support you, you never need the support. I need you to understand what you need is to grow. I need you to understand it's really about your growth and who you are. I need you to understand that when you're living life, you're going to live it free. You need to understand that you need to live free, because most people never support you. I need you to understand that most of my mentors have up to 8 million followers. I promise you there's 7 billion followers in the planet. I don't know where they are. Understand? So you understand that you be a person who understands that following, and you never rely on it, you never rely on other people to follow you. You understand that it's really about your growth, and you lead a life of growth and maturity. You understand? So you be that type of person who can grow. You be that type of person who has the ability to never ever rely on other people to do anything for you. Because when you expect other people to do anything for you, you will be a person who is dependent. And you never be dependent, and you never have the outside service. You have your own service, which is growing, and you have the fountain within you that is wisdom, and you just give that every single day. And that way, you're going to build courage and confidence and maturity to make sure you have more emotional abilities, to make sure that you can solve problems every single day in the best of your capabilities, which is your talent and abilities. In a sense, to be that type of person who has the excellence and the criteria that you need, which is the resume, I realize that, which is the resume, and that way you understand you have a regimen, which is a schedule, and that way you have a planning schedule, which is constructive. You have to be constructive to really lead life much better. You have to understand that each and every word must rhythm together with the I and you factor. And so you must be that person who can really ask questions more and more. You have to be great more and more. You have to realize that it's really about yourself and how are you bringing words to the table. You have to understand it's really about your growth and your freedom and what you do today to really promote yourself. You have to understand I got myself a poster, I got myself a speaker, I got myself a video, I'm ready to succeed today, I'm ready to grow today because I'm positive, you understand? So you need to be around them. You have to really be around positive people because otherwise you're going to be negative. You understand? So be around those people who are growing. I realize you have to be around better communicators because those people are leading the world. You have to understand that most people will never ever do anything for you. And you realize that each and every day you do show up for your work and you finish 3 hours a day of video and you also promote yourself. You understand that you get some free views and that way you're going to get word of mouth, and you'll also realize that no matter what, if the world outside of you never makes you successful, you're going to make yourself successful. And saying because you never rely on the outside world to make you successful, I promise you everything that you deserve is within. And if you're better than yesterday, I promise you that you are the best in your world. In a sense, to be that person who's the best in your world and never make your kids or your wife or your husband the best. I need you to make yourself the best. And say, I need you to be the best in your life. I need you to realize that you are the best in the world today. In a sense, so be that type of person who's doing something in your life to be that number one in your life. Understand? And that way you understand that when you're number one, you solve more problems than number two. Understand? I promise you, I never need you to call yourself number two. I need you to understand that 1 over 2. Understand? And that way you understand that those people who are really living life are the ones who have more heart and more wholeheartedness to realize that they can lead. Realize they're the ones who are really doing something that's positive. Realize they're the ones who are really helping to succeed. And helping other people to do something much better. You understand? So be that person who is growing and making sure that you're doing something amazing. You're making sure that no matter what, you're always positive about your words and what you're saying, because otherwise you're going to be a person who's negative, and you need to realize that whatever happens, you shall succeed. You understand? You shall succeed because you are a person who's going to grow today and do something amazing. In a sense, so being that person who's always encouraged by other people, although you understand that encouraging is part of the motion. I promise you that encouraging is part of the motivational speaker that I am. You understand? Because those people who motivate in terms of public speaking are the ones who are encouraging you to do something today. You need to be inspired. You need to do something inspirational. You need to realize that no matter what, that in order for you to solve problems, you need to life coach every single day about how can you do that much greater. You have to realize you always have to self-analyze yourself, which is also self-awareness. You have to be in the moment. You have to use your heart. You have to realize that your heart can solve anything. I realize that your feelings can solve every single problem in the world. I promise you, if somebody else can be so successful, you can too. You just have to put yourself into it, and you have to dedicate yourself and give your work every single day and make sure you show up for it every single day. I promise you, that way you're going to have a plan, you're going to have a schedule, you're going to have action steps, which is just a journal. I realize it's just a journal where you can really write all your action steps down about what you have to do every single day to grow and succeed more. I realize once you do that, you'll be more successful, and you never seek validation from other people. You understand? You just seek validation more from yourself, and that way you're growing. You realize that way. I realize that way is the best way to make sure that you are growing yourself in your manner, where you're having a better manner than yesterday, you're having a better attitude, because each and every time you solve a nice, beautiful conversation with yourself in this video, because I'm having a conversation here with myself, and that way you understand that I'm leading myself to grow myself every single day. I'm pushing myself because I have a crowd right here who's watching me. And same because I'm the crowd that is watching I in something greater. And so make sure no matter what, you're the person who is really growing yourself the most, and you realize that I'm the greatest in history, because that way you'll believe in yourself. You understand? I need you to say I'm the greatest in history, because guess what? If you're not, you'll die. You understand? So never be a dyer. I never need you to be a dying person. I need you to be a person who's growing. I need you to realize that when other people are jealous of you, I realize it's because you said something. You understand? So be a person who's never offended by other people. I need you to realize that you go and realize that you can never be around junkies and people who are the crowd. You understand? Because in 10 years' time, I promise you that crowd that you're walking with, that is the college students and also the people at the pub and all that, I promise you they're going to live you in the next 10 years. In a sense, so you have to realize that life is going to adapt quickly and life's going to hit you hard. You have to understand that you be a person who never gets hit. You understand? You never get hit by life. I need you to realize that you never be affected about the circumstances of your life. You never need to be a winner or a person who's a victim. I need you to realize I'm always better than what I say. I need you to realize that when you have someone, I realize when you have a baby crying, you realize that baby needs attention, so make sure no matter what, you're growing the baby in some kind of way, and that way you understand that everything's going to be much better than yesterday. You understand? You never have an okay life, you never have a fine life, you understand? You have a better life. You understand? You never say that I'm fine, I'm not fine, I'm better than fine. You understand? And that way you understand that you never have an okay life or anything like that. You have a greater life. You have a greater life in wisdom. You have something that you're teaching. You teach it greater than yesterday. That way you're passionate about it and you're going to do something about it. You're going to be more grateful. You're going to do something that's really positive. And that way you have all it takes. You understand? You have all it takes to succeed. You're going to be something amazing in life. And that way you're going to understand how to solve problems. Because to solve problems, you need to read more. You need to understand. You need more clarity. You have to write your thoughts down into your Pokédex, which is your phone. Because you understand, because people evolve and so do Pokemon. In a sense, so be that person who understands that when you're growing, you're also foundational in what you're doing, and you're speaking with yourself from the heart, and you're giving your love, because everything that I say is love. You understand? Because love is something positive, and anything that's hate is also love. Also, you have to understand, you just lift anyway. Understand that everything that's ever spoken in life is love. You have to understand it's the doing that's positive that you have to follow. You have to follow what's positive in life. You have to go follow the 5 people who are most successful in life and go and follow them. I promise you will be successful. I'm saying, I promise you go and follow the crowd. I promise you that is the best in history. I need you to follow that crowd. I need you to follow the crowds that's the best. I need you to follow the 1% of the crowd that is the best in history. I need you to understand that you got to learn from them. I promise you when you learn from the best, I promise you you'll be number 1 in your life. I promise you I need you to be number 1. I promise you that way you'll go and lift the crowd. I need you to understand that whatever happens, you never be soft, although you have to understand that you be soft in a way that you're growing. You understand? You never be hard. You never have anything hard in life. You just go the easy way, that is the better way. You understand? You go the better way because you never have an easy life unless you're tougher on yourself. You understand? You have to be a person who's tough on yourself so that you can have an easier life, because most people are making excuses and are living a harder life. You understand? So be a person who's never letting anything get to you. You understand? I mean, you're a person who's really growing, and that way you understand to never resist life. You just allow it in a way that you understand you're growing, and that way you understand how to grow much better, and that way you will solve more problems when you're growing. You understand? Because eventually the more you grow, I promise you the more you have to go and give and give and give, and the more you give, I promise you the more you'll contribute, and the more you contribute, the problems you will solve in your life are amazing. You understand? Because you have to understand that God wraps big problems in a gift, and you have to go and solve it. You understand? So be that person who's solving all your problems, and that way you understand. So whatever happens, you have emotions, you have your heart, you use your heart every day, you push yourself to grow and learn. I promise you that whatever's happening in the outside world, you reject them. You understand? Because guess what? You never reject yourself. You understand? You just lift the crowd, and that's it. You understand? Because that's what you deserve. You deserve to be lifted, and when you're lifting, you shall be lifted. You understand? So be that type of person who's doing something amazing in terms of your life, and making sure that you're doing your work regardless of what's going on. You're doing your work because you're taping it, you're recording it, you're making sure that somebody can see your work in the future, which is this moment anyway. Understand? Because you're always doing something positive, you're always doing something that's worth it, you're always doing something that's really going to grab you in a better way. And you have to understand that you be somebody who's never choking in life. You just live life in a way that you've never choking them. You understand? You're never kicking them down. You're a positive person who can do it much better. Understand? Because the more you grow is the more you learn, and the more you learn is the better you are. Understand? So be a better person in what you are today, and that way you're going to learn some skills today to do so in a better way. You understand? So be a person who understands something greater than yourself today. And that way you understand you're going to be a person who's never ignorant, you're going to be a person who's learning and open-minded today. You're going to be a person who's courageous and also curious about life and how to really live life, because that's life. I promise you, life is learning. You have to be a student. You have to be a student to solve problems. You have to be a student to make sure that everything you're doing and saying is open-mindedness, and to make sure that you're living it out and living accordingly to what you're speaking, because that way you're going to vibe in a better way, and you're going to make sure that you live life much better. And those people are living life much fully, other ones who are living in integrity. You be that type of person who's never afraid because you're living in emotions, you understand, because that way you can read the crowd, you can read everything when you're in the emotions. You'll understand when you're vibing, you're doing something greater than yesterday, and you understand whatever happens, you're a person who can grow. You're a person who can increase your skills. You're a person who can look inside and live a gift that you have right now. You have a gift, you make sure you learn from it. You understand? You learn from everything you have. You learn from this moment. You learn to overcome challenges. You learn from your place in life. Understand? So that way you understand that whatever's happening in the world, you're going to become a better person, and you're going to let go in the process, and you're going to become a better person throughout. You're going to be a person who, no matter what happens, you're getting stronger, you're getting tougher in a way that you're tough on yourself, and you're increasing your ability to make sure no matter what you're doing, you're a person who's high in life in terms of something positive only. And never needs to be high on drugs. And you should understand that drugs will never get you anywhere. I promise you, drugs will never solve the problem. I promise you, what will is more information, and more information is more awareness. So be that type of person who has more awareness about life, which is consciousness, and that way the more consciousness you have, the more you're going to live a greater life. So be that type of person who understands that a greater life means a successful life. You be that type of person who can really lift others, and you're lifting others in the moment, you're living much more in the moment, you're doing something incredible, you're making sure that your emotions are vibing with your words, and that way when you're vibing in a much better way, you understand that you're leading yourself in a greater intent, and that's what leadership is, you understand? I realize that leadership is just leading yourself in a better way, and that way you understand that you lead other people in a better way, you understand? Because you're leading yourself in a better way, and that way you'll lead other people in a better way. I realize that every time I lead much better, I realize that I lead myself only, and that way I pronounce for other people to lead other people in something greater. In a sense, so I only do it for something greater. I realize that when I live greater, I'm doing something much more than I am today, and that way I become better than yesterday. I'm always a person who's leading myself, I'm focusing on myself more, because I understand that people will reject me, and I understand that I will never reject me. You understand? I never reject I, because I love myself more than everything in life. I will never die, because I have my iron place, and that way when I have my iron place, I'm more confident, I'm more of a person who's a leader. I'm making sure that when I solve problems, I do it in a video, I do it in audio, I do it in writing, I do it in a quote. I realize that when I get an idea, I write in a quote, and I write in a quote, and I write in a quote. I have over 23,000 quotes. I realize that I make sure that when I'm leading and solving problems, I'm always looking for new ideas and something that I've never done. I realize that when I say I have to go here and do that, I have to go and do it now. You understand? Because that way I will be a person who can do it. You understand? Because I believe in myself much better, because I've accomplished many goals. I realize you need to set more goals, you need to do something much more fascinating that you've ever done in life. You have to understand, you go and do something more fascinating today than you've ever done in life, because that way you'll be a person who has something to give, and when you're a given like that, you're going to be a surplus in life, and that way you're going to be a person who can lift others in a surplus way. You have to understand, you be a person who can understand language, and language skills is literature, and literature is poetry, and poetry is literacy, you understand, and literacy is financial literacy, you understand? You got to learn everything. You're going to learn everything, because curiosity is life, and if you're not interested in people, I promise you nobody will be interested in you. You have to understand, you've got to be more interested in everything in life, and that way you'll understand that life is to be greater. In a sense, so be a person who is always vibing, you're always vibing in a way that's positive, you're always doing something incredible, you're always doing something that's really going to help, you're going to be a positive person right now, because that way you're going to do something incredible, and that way you're going to really lift, and when you lift, you're going to inspire, and when you inspire, you're going to be a motivational person, and hopefully a motivational speaker. In a sense, so if I inspire you today, you understand, I realize that if I inspire you today, you're a person who's really growing, you're doing something amazing, you're doing something that's really worth it, you're doing something that's really going to help, you're doing something that's really going to support in the aspect of mind, and that way you're going to live in the heart, and when you live in the heart, you're going to soothe yourself in a better way. Instead, you soothe yourself in what's helping you to grow. I realize when you're growing, you're going to do something amazing, and that way you're going to really live life, and when you're living life, you have all the attention, and that way when you have the attention, you understand you can grow much greater. I realize now I have more maturity, because guess what, I can do it in front of a crowd, and guess what, when I do it in front of a crowd, I'm really lifting myself. So that's the whole point of leadership, in a sense. So be that type of person who can really grow. You're growing in a way that no matter what, you're paying attention in terms of your investing attention. I'm only investing attention right now. I'm not paying attention. I'm never paying attention to anything. I'm only investing attention. And that way I understand that I realize that my attention is worthy. And when I invest in all the attention of the world inside of me, I realize that I'm looking inside of myself more than anything else. I realize that it's really that I look inside and I never look outside, because outside, I promise you there's nothing out there. I promise you that many people look at you and pass. I realize that many people look at you and pass away in terms of they'll go away from you. You understand? So make sure that you're just lifting anyway, you're lifting yourself, because you're never looking for the outside love, you're looking for the inside love that you can give. You understand? You're giving more love, and that way you will grow. You'll grow through more maturity and more processes that you have today, because each and every day you have 24 hours. You have to understand that 3 hours of the day I'm doing video work. You understand? So make sure that you're doing video work too. Make sure, I realize, to make sure that you understand that whatever happens in life, you're never rushing your communication, although you're just making sure that each and every sentence is much better. You have to understand, you have to be that person and creator who can do that. You have to understand, you have to be that person who can communicate in every single fashion possible. You have to realize that it's really about connecting your emotions together with your communication to make sure that you can have more heart. You have to make sure that you have more EQ and IQ in your life, you understand? Because that way you're going to grow, you're going to do something much more positive, you're going to do something that's really positive in nature. Unless whatever happens, you ignore the crowd that's negative, and that way you'll be more positive, you understand? Because you never retaliate to negativity, you just speak positivity, and that way you'll be something greater than yourself. Because life is about being greater. You have to be greater, you have to be looking better, you have to be looking a much more tremendous fashion in terms of abilities and talent and in who you are. You have to realize that is how to solve problems, you understand? So you do something today greater than everything else, and that way you'll be noticed more, you understand? So whatever you can do today to make sure that you can boost your skills, you understand that you have entrepreneurs online, you have them on YouTube, you can just go and tune in, you subscribe, you then realize they'll give you a video, you watch it, and you make sure you stay a student all your life. You then invest some money into books and audiobooks. I read audiobooks personally, and that way I make sure to read at 3.5 times speed. I make sure I read a book a day, and that way I understand I'm always growing from it, I'm always learning from it, I'm always doing something that's really positive, I'm always making sure that no matter what I can learn and grow and take notes while I read something, because the more you take notes in life, guys, I promise you the more you're going to succeed. You succeed in a way that you've never done it before. You have to do what you've never done, and that way you understand you're going to expand your comfort zone. I mean, if you've been in Sydney all your life, I mean, go to Brisbane. So be a person who goes somewhere else in life. And you understand that when you leave the crowd, I promise you don't need to follow you. I promise you have to go and be on your own. I realised that life is like that, and I realised that when I was a small kid, I realised I'm still a baby, although you realise I grew up in a mature way. I'm more mature now than I ever was. You understand that life was different back in the day, although you understand that back in the day is now, and now is the best time of my life. So you have to realise that life hit me hard. And life hit me through family, and life hit me through friends and people who are fake now towards me, and you have to understand that I was hit on all sides of the story about the information I gained, and it's never anybody's fault. So you have to understand it's really, you have to better yourself anyway. You have to understand that when life hits you, you get back up and you never hit back. You understand? You get hit, and it's how hard you can get hit, as Rocky Balboa says. You have to understand it's about you and how can you really deliver a positive content today, and what can you do today to make sure that you're a growing person. You have to understand it's about growing. You have to understand it's about doing something that's really going to help you to move forward, and that way you can understand that whatever's happening today is going to be in the moment. And when you're in the moment, you can start to learn today something that's really going to be passionate towards you. I realize after this video I'll be doing some mentors. I realize I'll be going and reading from my mentors and what they have to say. I realize they update me about the economics of life and about the wisdom and personal development, and also I go towards the ones that are life coaches and the ones that have the financial ability to teach me something about the stock market and everything about what's going on. You have to understand that I never read the news, I read from my mentors and I get the insider information, and that's the why. I realize that's why I can speak today, because guess what? I gain all the ideas and I apply them, and that way I can go and do much more. In a sense, so each and every time that you apply an idea, I realize that each and every time you apply an idea, you're going to do it better than yesterday, and that way you're going to change your story in a way that you're always never manipulating, although you understand that you're just growing with what you're saying, and that way you're learning on the go about how to communicate and how to do everything on the go, because that's life. I mean, that's business. I mean, business is entrepreneurship as you travel the world. Understand? I mean, you go travel, you go do something that you've never done. I realized that 10 years ago, I never knew I was going to do this. You understand? So you realize what changed. I realized I started planning it. You understand? So you need to go plan everything. I mean, if you need something today that's going to make you successful, you need to plan it first, and you go and take the action. You understand? You take action and action and action. I promise you, that is a faster way, although you have to plan it first and then realize that you get the theory first and then you go and take the action. You have to make common sense of it, and then you can take the action. You understand? I promise you, many people never take common sense. I realize they never have common sense and they never take action. You need to make common sense in your journal first, and then you can go take the action. You understand? You go and plan everything. You go and plan constructive criticism in a way that you're growing from it. You understand? You go and make sure you're giving everything that's going to grow. You never blame people for how they are. You go and grow them from how they are. I promise you, that's the way of life. I promise you, the way of life is grow them from how they are and grow them out today in terms of inside. I need you to speak from inside. I need you to go public speaking Toastmasters. I need you to realize you go for 1 year. I went for 1 year. I realized I learned a lot about how to be in front of a crowd. I gave my first speech, it was 15 minutes. I was very scared. You understand? So realized that I was very much more tense in terms of life, although I now bring public speaking Toastmasters on the street every day for 3 hours. So I'm doing 3 hour speeches instead of 7-minute speeches. You understand that because of that, I'm a much more developed person now. I'm doing something much more incredible, and each session I have is 3 topics a day. So I'm doing far more in terms of people today than my mentors, and you have to understand that's something incredible in terms of success. So you need to have that type of successful ability where you can get in front of a crowd and do some public speaking for yourself in terms of something greater, because if you cannot public speak today in front of a crowd, you have to improve right now. You have to improve right now, otherwise you'll never be successful. You have to understand you need to be in front of a crowd and talk in front of a crowd and do something in front of a crowd today that's going to help people move forward. So for me, it's life. You understand? So I have to talk about life more and more, and I have to better life much more. I have to realize that when I better life much more, I'm better in my life. I realize it's about my growth today, and the more I grow, I realize the better I am. I realize no matter what, you guys just stay tuned. I just have to do something. You guys just have to recognize that no matter what happens, when something like a poster is falling from your hands, you have to realize you go fix it and make sure that no matter what, you're promoting yourself, because that's how you understand to make sure to solve some problems for yourself. Because when you're solving problems, you understand that you need to look better, and you look like crap. You have to understand that you go and do something today that's really going to help you to move forward. So for me, it is make sure to make myself appear better, because when it's about appearing better, it's about better communication skills. You realize it's about making sure your poster is being seen and it's not being blown away by the wind. You have to understand that when something blows you away, you have to understand that it's really inspiration. You understand? So be an inspiring person who blows people away. You understand? And that way you understand what inspiration is. You have to understand when you're surprised, you'll be more surprised in life, and that way you understand you'll be a happier person when you leave surprises and you make sure you go and do more surprises in life, and that way you will understand what problem-solving abilities is. You have to understand that you have to think ahead in your journal. You have to understand you have to plan ahead. You have to make sure you're thinking in the moment. You have to understand you write all ideas down, as John C. Maxwell says. You have to understand that each and every idea you put it down into paper, you give it to someone for free, and that way you're bettering a life today, and that way you understand you're doing something much more broad in terms of conditions, which is this moment. You have to understand you go and realize that everything in your life is this moment, and those people who live in this moment are going to be the people who can do something about it in terms of living life greater. Understand? So you be that type of person who's relating each and every word to the moment, and that way you're going to be a growing person. You're going to be someone who's far greater than yesterday. You understand? Because each and every day you show up for your work and you do something greater today than you did, I promise you, you've grown from it. I promise you, if you're not greater today, you're worse. So be greater today, please. I promise you, that's the way. I like it. You understand? So be that type of person who can go and never go with the crowd, because when you follow the crowd, you'll always be the crowd, and you'll always be the 99% of the people who is following the crowd. So never be that type of person. I need you to be that type of person who is following the 1% of the people who is going to make you much greater in terms of ideas, and in terms of positivity, and in terms of giving you ideas, which is problem-solving abilities. I promise you, each and every idea I give you here is a nice, beautiful way to set the sail for yourself in something greater. So you're doing it for something greater. You're not doing it ever for yourself. I realize that whenever I give you ideas, you pick up the ideas and you realize that it's really about my attitude and how my attitude is in videos, and how my tonality is coming across, and you emulate it in a different way, and you speak up in a different way where you can speak as fast as I can, because that's going to help you to better your life. Understand? So you emulate myself in terms of how I speak in your own manner, and that way you're going to boost your communication skills, and that way I realize that way you're going to realize that those people who can talk faster are the ones who are really focusing on themselves the most, whereas they're the ones who are really vibrating the most, whereas they're the ones who are vibrating the most, and that way you understand that no matter what happens, you're a person who's confident and more confident enough to make sure you're more than confident to fail and fail and fail, and make sure you learn and learn and learn. You're saying you have to fail and learn. You fail and learn. You have to learn and grow more than you fail. You have to understand, you learn more and you never fail. You understand, you never fail when you learn. You just learn in life, I promise you, that way you will go up and that way you will problem solve much better. You understand? So be able to realize that when you're talking like this, you understand you're self-reflecting in a way that when you're in front of a crowd or something, you're self-reflecting and you're reflecting in a way that's going to be better than yesterday. Because when you're reflecting, you're making sure that you can understand your wording, you understand your capabilities and what you can do. You understand, because when you expand your comfort zone, you say something you never said, and that way you understand you'll boost your personality and who you are and your attitude, which is everything. You have to understand your attitude is everything when you're better only. You have to understand that you only better your attitude, you better your self-awareness and who you are, you better your self-love. You look yourself in the mirror every day, you can say, I love you 1,000 times, and say you have to love yourself more and more throughout time to have to truly live life a longer way and a better way and a more effective way. I promise you, when you do it the right way, you're doing it the wrong way, and that's never the way to do it. And you should understand you do it the most effective way, and that way you'll never be right and wrong about what you've done. And you should understand that right and wrong people always argue. Understand? And you should understand it's not about arguing, and you should understand it's about living better and how can we do this better, because when you're always bettering stuff, you're never stuck on right and wrong. Understand? You're just a person who's needing to do better than right and wrong. You're always realizing that you're moving on, you're adapting quick, you're making sure that you're really a fast person in terms of growth. You understand? You're a person who can really grow in a way that you're looking inside for the answers, and you realize that you have all the energy in the world to do so, and you have all the time in the world to make sure that you can do everything you can to do, because that way you understand that life is about freedom and life is about now, and when you're doing life now, you understand that you're doing something positive. So make sure you're doing something today to make sure that you're promoting yourself for free. And that way you understand that you're just living life in freedom. And freedom is the answer for everything. I need you to understand that whatever you're doing today must be positive, and you must be able to do it much better than yesterday, because that way you will solve problems, and it's about skills. So surround yourself around better people who have a better skill than you. I promise you they're going to teach you how to have better skills, and then you teach people other skills, and that way the more skills you have, the more you can solve problems. I promise you those people who solve problems are the ones who are really tuning in to what's happening inside every day, because that's the new news today. I promise you, the best news today is what's happening inside and what's happening in your day. You have to understand, that's the best social media on the planet, so make sure that you go and tune in to yourself every single day and forget the outside world. Because I forgot everybody from the past. I realised that I just have my family members, although you have to understand I have something greater as well. You have to understand, it's just about something greater anyway. You have to understand, you go for what is greater. You understand? You go for something greater, because there's something greater than me and everything in life. You have to understand, you go and be that person who's going to be something greater, and you stand for it every single day. You stand for something greater. I promise you that way you'll be something of interest. You understand? I promise you when you're an interesting person, you do something interesting. You do something that's really foundational, and you understand that each and every time you show up in front of a crowd to do your work, and you do some really nice, beautiful content that's really going to help somebody, you're going to speak faster and faster, and each time that you speak, you're going to be faster at it. And that's the whole point of life. I like it, In a sense, so be that type of person who can rhyme and rhythm, and make sure you make some poetry today and show somebody for free because you inspire someone. Understand? So make sure no matter what, be that type of person who can write and read much faster than you are, and that way you understand no matter what, you have a positive attitude, because an attitude of gratitude is something that's going to make you the top altitude in your life. So make sure no matter what, be top in your life and be at the top of your life, and then break through the top of the ceiling and make sure you're still growing. Understand? You have to make sure you're still growing no matter what, because life is growth, and those people who grow can also lead and you can do anything. You have to be that type of person who's always showing up. I realise that this is day 5 for me on the street right here. I realise that it's going to be my 15th hour of being in front of a crowd and speaking for 15 hours in 5 days. Understand? So you be that type of person who understands that the more you speak, the more you can speak and lead and do anything. So be that type of person who is, I realise, to be that type of person who is assertive in life, because assertive people can solve problems. So go where the assertive people are, which are people who are confident and people who are inspirational and people who understand the rights and the wrongs of life, to understand that there is no wrongs and rights, because it's about spirituality and it's about growing yourself in a way that you understand that whatever's happening, you're a person who's maneuvering throughout life in a better way, and that way you're going to understand that you're living better anyway. You're living better, you're doing better, you're making sure no matter what, you're always functioning in a better way, because those people who function are going to live better, and they're going to talk better, and are going to do their life better. You have to understand that when you're solving problems, you're making yourself smarter, you're making yourself a better person, you're making yourself a better attitude, you're having a reality check every single day, which is a self-evaluation. You're writing it down in your journal, you're planning every single day your skills. And what are your skills every single day? I mean, what are you passionate about? I promise you that's your skills. You go and do it for free, and that way you're going to understand that whatever you're doing for free today is going to help lead you in a better manner. So do something today for free that's going to be kind, and that way you will solve a problem right there. You understand? So kindness begets more kindness. You understand? So be that type of person who understands more freedom in the world, and be a person who's a freedom fighter who can understand that when you solve problems, you will also solve your problems. You understand? You help people get what they want, and you will ultimately get what you want, as Zig Ziglar says. You understand? So have that type of opinion where you can give people what they want, because that way you understand you'll get what you want. In a sense, so be a person of that caliber where you're understanding that leadership is gold, and leadership is more than gold. You understand? Because those people who understand leadership are the ones who can also lead and grow and make sure that they become more mature. You become more mature, you become something greater than you are, you become something more free in life, and you're also making sure that you're really nice and comfortable on stage and in front of people while you're growing. In a sense, so you're doing it in a different manner each and every single time, because you deserve to really live life in a greater way. You have to understand it's really about freedom. You have to understand it's really about growing yourself in a way that you've never done before, and that way you understand that growth is discomfort. I promise you that I've been in discomfort for 15 hours in 5 days in front of a video. In a sense, so in order for me to do so, it means a lot of growth for me. I promise you that I can feel it each and every time I do a 3-hour video every single day. I promise you I changed. I promise you I changed into a better person. I changed into a person who has more courage and more confidence and more abilities. I'm never negative. I'm never in the ego. I'm always overcoming my ego. I'm always making sure that no matter what, I have peak performance in my life. I make sure to get myself the nutrition I need and anything that I need that's going to help me succeed. I make sure, no matter what, to focus on my life every single day. I make sure that every day my schedule is where it must be in a better way. I make sure to have more time management skills and to make sure that I'm always living life greater than yesterday. I make sure, no matter what, each and every day I must be reading, I must be writing, I must be doing videos, I must be on the street in front of people, I must be growing myself, I must be maturing in a better way, I must be doing something that's positive every single day, I must be grooming myself every single day, I must be eating and making sure that I have more than enough energy. You understand? I realized that I ate nothing after, I realized I ate nothing before I did this. I realized no matter what, before I came to do my nice beautiful street performance here, I just a bit of soy milk. You understand? Because guess what? It's really that you fast throughout life much more and more, because the more you fast, the more energy you have. And the more energy you have, you understand, the more happiness you have. You have to understand that happiness is never found in food. You have to understand that happiness is never found in objects. You have to understand what's happiness here in my objects is how I can use it to help you right now. You have to understand that is a passion, and that's what you must do. You have to understand you must do something today with your technology and your resources and your house today and what you have today. You must use it to help people. You understand? You just do that every single day. You do that in a way in terms of what's going to help you, in terms of mindset and also your vocabulary, and you go and boost your vocabulary skills every single day. You go boost your writing skills, because writing is leadership, in a sense. So those people who write more will lead more, in a sense. So go and write more. I realized I write in a journal. I never have ebooks. I never have books. I just have a journal. I had one book I wrote at 25. I realized now at 28 I have 2 years of journaling. You understand? I realized each and every single day I journal about 30,000 characters. You understand? So make sure no matter what, you go and journal. You have to go and journal every single day, so you understand that no matter what, that when you're journaling, you're going to realize that it's a book of your life. So go and write 30,000 words a day about yourself every day. You'll be confident about it. You have to understand that if you never write about your story, and if you're not writing 30,000 words about yourself every day, I promise you, you'll never be confident. You have to go and be a person that's talking about yourself more. So I write 30,000 words about myself every single day in my journal, in a sense, because I'm confident. In a sense, so be that type of person who can do that every single day. And I promise you, that way you will talk about what's going on in the past and what happened and what's going on around the world and how you're solving this problem and what you're going to do about it and what's the next step and what you're doing in 1 month time and what you're doing in 3 years time and what you're going to do at 80 years of age, because you have to plan it. You have to plan each and every second. You have to plan each and every second of your life in this moment. You have to understand that who you are today is who you'll be in the next 5 years if you're not improving. You understand? So be a person who's improving. I promise you, it's a much better way to improve. Otherwise, you're going to be a loser. You understand? So be a person who's a winner, and I promise you to be a person who is improving all the time. I have to improve all the time. I have to make sure no matter what, that my life is always much greater. I'm always looking greater. I'm always feeling greater. I'm always in my emotions. I'm making sure no matter what, that my house and who I am is inside. And when I look inside, I make sure I never look to other people to solve my problems. I look to myself. I make sure I have accountability, which is self-reflection. I just self-reflect every single day. I take responsibility. I take ownership like that. I make sure no matter what, I'm always doing something that's really going to help me in the moment. And when I'm in the moment, I'm happier. I'm always more energetic. I always find out more nutritional knowledge on how to live longer and how to live better. You have to understand that what you're eating today is also what you're eating today, and it's also what you're putting into your body, and it's also where your energy is going, and it's also where your money is going. You understand? Because diet is the number one killer, and diet is also the number one thing that's going to help you to live longer. So make sure you have a better diet, and I promise you need to have better TV shows, and you have to realize that it's really about self-education. Get yourself into self-educational theory and self-help books. I promise you those books will help you. I promise you those books will help you do everything that you need, because the more information you have, I promise you the more problem-solving equations that you can do. Understand? Because to problem solve is to be a mathematician, and the better mathematician you are, I promise you the better reader you are. I promise you the better teacher you are. I promise you the better confidence you have, and the better you can communicate. So the more you can communicate, the more you can solve problems. You have to understand, you go and do that every single day, you go and realize that you're never failing, you're just learning. You have to understand, you're just learning as you're growing, and you're doing as I realize you're doing as you go along. I realize that every single time you grow, you also do it. You do it much better than yesterday, and that way you understand that freedom is now. And you understand, I have a dream. You understand, because I means now, and when you understand that you're doing it now, you understand that you're going to solve a problem now. Understand? So be that person who understands that each and every time you communicate, you're setting the cell in a better way. You're a successful person who can do it much better than yesterday, and you realize that solving equations and problems is going to help you much greater than yesterday. So make sure you're doing it more often. Understand? So make sure you're a person who can do it. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself much greater than yesterday. You have to understand you never need other people to believe in you. You just need yourself. Understand? You just need yourself to do everything that you ever need to do. You're going to push yourself into life, and you go into life, you're going inside. You're going inside. You're never going outside. You're never projecting outside. You're projecting inside. Understand? And when you're projecting inside, you realize that life is to be lived inside. Understand? Because out there, I promise you, there's nothing out there. I promise you, what's important is what's inside. And when you're looking inside more and more, you'll find your responsibility, and you'll take ownership, and you'll take accountability inside, and you realize that your life is to be a given. Understand? You must give from within. You must be giving. You must be given from within. You must be understanding that what you have inside is greatness. You have to understand that greatness is found inside and never in other people. Understand? So be that type of person who's lifting anyway. You'll be that type of person, and realize no matter what, you just do it today. You do it today much more and more. You understand that you'll be inspired today, and that way you understand that problem-solving abilities is the easiest thing in the world when you have more knowledge and awareness about what you're doing. You need to schedule every day. You need to be planning a day ahead of yourself. You have to understand, I'm always planning something. I'm always planning how my day's going to go, and what did I do today, and how did I do. I always have to self-evaluate my life, because that way I build wisdom. I build wisdom about my life, and I'll maneuver throughout life much better. You have to understand, when you maneuver throughout life much better, you're going to do better, you're going to be better, you're going to realize that it's about success. You understand? Because a successful person is a great one. You understand? So be a great one in life. I realize that you have to be a greater one anyway. You have to understand it's really about do it greater. You understand? Do more. I realize you have to be more. You have to understand to love more. You have to understand to really be positive about who you are every single day, and love yourself greater than anybody else, because that way you'll be more selfish, and selfish people who are more compassionate. I promise you, when you are a person who can understand life itself, you're looking inside, you understand, because that way you understand that mindset is everything when you're solving problems. When you solve problems, you understand that you have everything you ever need. You have to understand it's just a skill asset, and increase your skills, understand, for information, and that way you have more information, and you'll be a person who's never sick about anything. You have to understand you're a person who's just doing something greater. You have to understand when you're preventing sickness, you're also smarter. You go with the smarter people, and that way you understand you can grow in the process. You grow in the process of information. You're doing something in the crowd. You're making sure no matter what, you're being seen. You're being seen. You're being heard. You understand? Because that way you're always growing. You're growing faster than the crowd. I promise you, sometimes even having a girlfriend or a boyfriend can be really, let's say, a liability. So you have to understand it's really about managing your time better, and it's also about time management. You have to read time management books. You have to understand that no matter what, that most people are going to drag you down. You have to be around the ones that are dragging you up. You understand? So be around the ones that are lifting you rather than denying you or rejecting you. You understand? You have to be around the ones who are really giving you the information that you need and feeding you the best information in the planet, and that's called the insider. You have to be the insider. I'm not negative. Or do you understand that you be the person who's an insider rather than an outsider? I need you to be around better people anyway. I need you to understand that when you're better, I need you to understand when you're a better person, you understand that enthusiasm is everything when you're a passionate person. I need you to understand enthusiasm means passion. You understand? I promise you when you have a passion, you also have enthusiasm. I promise you that you always have enthusiasm about your passions, because when you're an enthusiast, you'll understand that those people who can speak are also people who can lead, and you should understand that those people who can lead are also people who can have so much enthusiasm, which is charisma. And you should understand you then have excellence, and when you execute what you have today, I promise you, you will also grow in the process, because that's the whole point of life. You have to understand the whole point of life is to grow and learn more and do it as you go along. You have to understand that those people who understand my type of living are the ones who understand what street performance is. When you understand, when you're promoting yourself, you have tens and thousands of views every single day, and you're loving your life, and you have to understand that it's really about your growth anyway. You have to understand that once you're growing, you're living life, you have to understand you're doing something amazing, you're doing something really foundational, and that's the whole point of solving problems. You're focusing on yourself more than anything else, and that way you're going to have self-love. You're going to have self-love, you're going to do something amazing, you're going to do something that's free, you're going to look inside for it, you're going to use your mind, you're going to use your guts, you're going to use your legs, you're going to use your fingers today to make it happen much better. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you go to love every single part of your body today, and make sure no matter what, you're always warmer in life. I never need you to be homeless on the street. You have to understand that homeless people are doing nothing today. You have to understand you go do something to help them to succeed. You understand? You go help people to succeed. You have to understand you have to be a successful person. You have to be something incredible. You have to understand that when you're helping people succeed, you will also be successful. You understand? So go be a successful worker today. You understand? You have to be a person of that quality. You have to be a person who has quality and more than enough of it to make sure that no matter what, you're a person of high caliber. You be a high caliber person, you're doing something amazing, you're making sure that your feelings are also with your communication, you're making sure that you're functioning in a better way, you're making sure that you're doing something today that's really going to be beneficial. And that way, I realize that way, when you're a beneficial person, you're going to realize that it's really about something greater. And when you're a greater person, you understand that enthusiasm will solve your problems. When you're a person who has more energy, and that way you're going to have more life to live. You have to understand that those people who are studying more will also reflect more, and when you reflect, you have more wisdom, and then you'll solve problems, because wisdom solves problems. You understand? So be that type of person who can understand that a greater life is right now. And when you succeed, you will understand you accomplish your goals, you just make sure of it, and that way you understand you're going to have more contentment, and that way when you have more contentment, you understand that poker is no longer a solution. You understand? Because gambling will never get you anywhere. You have to understand you stay away from a sports bet, you stay away from the tap, you stay away from you stay away from Bet365, understand? You stay away from gambling applications. I never need you to gamble, because when you gamble, you're gambling your time away too, and when you gamble, you're a shamble. You understand? So never be a shamble. I need you to be a person who has never denied yourself. I need you to allow yourself to love yourself. I need you to understand that allowing is also forgiving, and to forgive is also to receive, and to receive is also to give, and to give is to never take. So never be a taker. I need you to be a giver. I need you to understand what you're giving matters when it's positive only. I never need you to give negative information and lead people astray. I need you to understand to have greater awareness in you, and to have greater courage, and to have greater abilities, because you deserve to have a greater life. So make sure you're that kind of person who can look inside of yourself, and you can understand that when you have more maturity, you'll feel it, and that way you understand you have your feelings to make sure that you can live your life. You understand? Because your feelings speak louder than words, and what you do today is who you are today. So make sure no matter what, you're doing something greater today to make yourself greater. You have to do something greater in front of a crowd. You have to do something greater in your life. So just encourage yourself every single day with some audiobooks or some reading material. You get yourself around positive entrepreneurs and somebody who's really growing you with some ideas to make sure no matter what, they're also helping you get with a community online where you can understand, you can grow with them and follow them around to to make sure you're a student all your life, because that's the meaning of life, to make sure that you're open-minded and curious about life and interested. You have to be interested in life to make sure you're great at life itself. Understand? You have to be that type of person who understands life itself by being greater today. You have to understand that's the whole point of living, and that's the whole point of solving problems. Because when you're inspiring, I promise you, you'll be the one who's traveling the world, and that's the whole point of an entrepreneur who is solving problems. You can see Tony Robbins, for example. I promise you, he's solving everybody's problems, and that's why he's going around the world. You have to understand, you also have to do the same thing. You have to do the same thing in your area of your life. I don't know what you're passionate about, although whatever you're passionate about, you need to be that type of person who can go and do it much greater than you are. You have to realize that you need to go and get it in front of a camera, you need to go and do it in front of a camera to make sure that you get it much better. And that way, when you get it, you understand you're doing it in a way that no matter what you're looking inside for, and whatever you're looking inside for is going to come out of you in a better way. Understand? And that way you're getting your message across each and every time. You're making sure that you're reflective about what you're saying, you're much more flexible about what you're doing, and you're much more positive about your life. You understand that life is about now, I realize now, because when you're now, you understand you'll do it now. You have to understand that those people who can breathe now are the ones who are living more fully. You understand? You be more full in the moment, you be a person who has a cup full of life, you understand? You be that type of person who has full of energy, you be that type of person who has something great in you, you're doing something really great in your life to make sure that whatever happens, and when people have each other, you just realize you just have yourself anyway. You have to understand, you just be that type of person who has yourself much greater, because it's not about other people. I realize it's about you and how are you really going today. Because you will understand that no matter what, many people are going to lie about they have each other and all of this. You have to understand it's really that you are a person who has yourself only in life, and you have to understand that people divorce and people have negativity, and you have to understand you just be around the positive people on the planet. You understand? You be around people who will teach you to never divorce, because to never divorce is to never divorce yourself. You have to understand that when you are separate from people, you understand that you have an egotistical mind. You're never separate from anybody. You have to understand we're all one. You just have to be a detaching person, and you never attach to anybody. You just detach. You understand? Because I promise you, to detach in life is to be a greater person. So be a person who understands what detaching is, which is just going away from people. You have to go away from people in order for yourself to find yourself much better. You have to understand that most people will lead you astray, and the more you are with the crowd, I promise you, the more they will kick you down. In a sense, so make sure that you are going alone, because that's the fastest road to success. I promise you, the best road is the alone road. Understand? I promise you, that's the best road in life, and you realize no matter what, that you're a person who can do it every single day because you're planning it, and you have a schedule, and you have time management skills, and you're making sure you're reading from entrepreneurs who can really help you succeed. You're making sure no matter what you're doing, you're much better with ideas, because positive ideas will get you there. You have to understand you go around people who have a positive vibe, and that way you understand that you go do also some videos and some audio podcasts where you can understand you put your voice out there, or you're writing, or something that's really going to help someone. And that way you understand that you're solving much more problems, because if you're not doing any writing or audio or video work today, you'll understand that you're not solving any problems. Otherwise, you have to understand it's about communication, and the more you communicate, the better leader you are. I need you to understand that communication is personal development, and the better you communicate, the better your life. You have to be that type of person who understands that life is let go and let God. Understand? You let go, you just realize that when you're cold, you just keep going, and that way you understand that you're never cold because you say I'm not cold, and that way you're going to realize that it's really about what's happening inside that matters. You understand? Realize it's never about what's happening outside. You understand? It's really how you're going to. I realize it's going to happen today, and you're going to have to ask yourself, how am I going to succeed today, and what does it take today for me to actually do that? You have to understand. You go and meet everybody that you can is really successful, and that way you can understand to grow yourself either way. You understand? Because life is growing, and those people who grow can also lead. You have to understand. It's really going to be that type of person who's going to help yourself do that each and every single day, and you understand the skills is going to come along with that once you're learning them. And saying you're learning the skills, you're learning something brilliant, you're learning something that's really going to help you, you're learning something you're doing along the way, you're doing some video work, you're doing something in front of a crowd, and that way you'll leave some inspiration behind. And guess what, no matter what, you inspire yourself today, because guess what, it's every day that you accomplish your goals, and your goals is what matters. And each and every time you accomplish your goals, you get some more results, and when you get some more results, you will be onto better things, because other people have yet to do some street performance. Because I've done it for 5 days in a row now, and guess what? Because I've done it, I've got some more results, and that's what success is. You understand? You understand? When you get some more results, you understand that you'll have more success. So go around where the results are and you make yourself results. You understand? Because that way, when they never believe in you, you believe in yourself, and that's all the belief you ever need. You never need people to validate you and make you successful because you're already successful, you understand? I promise you that people are trying to make it hard for you to succeed. You understand? You just go and succeed. You go and succeed right now. You never need their success. You never need them around you. You never need them to make you something. You never need them to follow you. You never need them to do anything for you. You understand? You just need to go and grow yourself. You just go and make yourself successful. You just go and be in front of the crowd. I promise you, eventually, people are going to start showing you around. I promise you, eventually, people are going to follow you and follow you and follow you, and that's the best way. I promise you, the best way is the free way. I promise you, when you're advertising yourself, you advertise yourself in a free way. I promise you, that's the best way, because when you're giving money for followers, I promise you, that's fake. I promise you, it's fake to give money for followers. I gave $600 to get 200 followers. You understand? I promise you, it's fake. I promise you, I had to buy them out. You understand? I realize that it's really, let them follow you for free, and who cares if they learn from you or not, because guess what, you're better than yesterday, and that's all that matters, you understand? So just realize something, that many people are going to try to fool you and are going to try and make you an idiot. So make sure that you just never fall for it, because guess what, you're just smarter than that. You're just a smarter person, because many people just have too much fun in life. I realize it's never about fun, I realize it's about growth, you know what I'm saying? You need to grow. You need to grow today, because when you die at 50, I realize that's never really your life, you know what I'm saying? I realize that you're never going to die. You're never going to die in life. You're going to live longer. You're going to realize that there is an afterworld, and there is Jesus, and you understand something in eternity. You have to understand you're living life in this moment. You have to be never upset about your life. You have to understand that life is to be lived now. You have to realize you go and cherish your life in a way that you're going to grow. You're going to grow today. You're going to do something foundational. You're going to realize that the more work you put in, I promise you, the better you feel, and you'll understand that you'll always live life much greater when you're doing it in a moment. I realize anyway, guys, that I've completed my 3 hours for today, and today's the 26th of July 2020, and guys, I wish you the very best. I hope that you share that video around. I'll see you guys in the next video. I'll see you guys very soon.